Design Indaba.
I've been sailing troubled waters that knew no calm. The winds were wailing all those waters, and my sorrows knew no balm. Troubled waters, troubled waters, troubled waters in my soul. Troubled waters, troubled waters, troubled waters in my soul.
Oh, dear sister, trouble ways of time. What's wrong, dear sister? Did your world fall down? Men misuse you and push you around. Same story, dear, year after year. Pathetic run. Oh, dear sister, trouble ways of time. Trouble in the air, trouble all I see. Does anybody care? Trouble killing me, oh, it's killing me.
The trouble in my way,
Trouble in my way,
I have to cry sometimes.
I have to cry sometimes.
Yeah, so much trouble.
Trouble in my way,
I have to cry sometimes.
I have to cry sometimes.
I lay to work at
I
night,
lay awake at night,
but that's alright.
it's alright.
I heard from Jim,
But that's okay, 'cause trouble may don't get in my way. I come up hard, baby. I've been for real, baby. Gonna keep moving, gonna go to town. I come up hard, I come up getting down. There's only three things that can show. Taxes, debt, and trouble. Oh, this I know, baby. This I know, son. Girl, ain't gonna let it sweat me, baby. Me, baby. Me, baby.
oh, oh man, trouble. Stop knocking at my door. You used to be
That's a pretty elaborate setup. It's true, I found trouble everywhere. And if we look at the word today, it's also pretty troubling. We have problems just about everywhere. We've been talking about climate emergency, extinction of species, we have terrorism, inequalities, we have markets that fails, we have whole states that fails, unemployment, decline in well-being. It's easy to call this a meta-crisis. So, this is a world that's building up, and I'm sitting in New York, and it's 2013, 2014. And I'm doing just really exciting work in all kinds of fields. And I'm just going to show you as an example what the whole New York experience was for me creatively. So that piece is actually math. We did an opening for World Science Festival, and I was thinking, let's just do equations. And we just run thousands of equations until we found a few that was actually beautiful. And then we just pressed render and then cut it together and put a data layer on top of it. So pretty cool ways to look at things. And I'm pretty fine with that. And then this guy walks in. So this is Sir Richard Curtis, who wanted to talk to me. Do you know who he is? Yeah, Love Actually, and 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and a couple of other pretty successful films. He came to talk to me about something that's called Red Nose Day, that he launched in England, and now he wanted to launch it in the States. And we had a conversation about this, and it was great. We really hit it off, and we decided that, okay, we're going to work with you on this. And he was just about to leave when he said, oh, by the way, do you know about the MDGs? And I was like, yeah, that's Millennium Goals, something. He's like, yeah, they're running out now because it's going to be 2015. So have you heard about the SDGs? And I said, no, I haven't, and I definitely don't want to get it, whatever it is. So he convinced me that this is something that would actually be good for the world. And so he brought me up to the United Nations. We're talking end of 2014, because he said that this may be the last chance we have to fix the planet, and it's going to fail unless we can make it really popular. Are you up for the task? What do you say? Yes, I'm in. So we were sitting there waiting for the document, and it finally came in the mailbox. It has, advanced, unedited, makes you feel special when you get that. You have the synthesis report, sounds cool, looks like a UN document, but more than anything, the title of this is pretty brilliant. The Road to Dignity by 2030, Ending Poverty, Transforming All Lives, and Protecting the Planet. I think that's as close as to poetry that anyone in the UN has come. And so the 17 goals then, let's look at them. First one seemed just totally fine. End poverty in all its forms everywhere, done. And then the rest then, I was like, oh God, it seems like a lot to deal with. And is this really the solution to all of these things? Well, when you look at a list like this, it's very hard to understand what it really is about. So I started to think about communication, and I figured something out. And what I figured out was basically information is not communication. That's like your ground rule. And in order to communicate, you need to be able to connect. You need to be on the same wavelength. And in order to connect, you have to understand the other person, where they're coming from, what's their perspective. And if you don't understand, you just don't care. And what happens when you don't care? You're not going to act. Because I think this is something that has come up several times, that all action is emotional. So what do? You start to look at this anew and you think, okay, that's fine. Can we make it shorter? Yes, let's just call it no poverty. Done. Next one, end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. No hunger. It seems a lot easier. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Quality education, it seems like. So I went through all of these goals and made sure that I could find the easiest way to talk about these very important issues. And sometimes it was really needed. I give you goal 15. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. And this, you're going to say to someone, yeah, I'm working on that goal. But it was all life on land. So when you're working with these kinds of things, it's important to understand like what part of the equation you're playing. Because complexity is good. Look at us. We're the most complex stuff that there is. And we're mostly good, I would say. Complexity gives us so much. I love the ending. It's just like, okay, I'm done. So complexity is good, but hard to understand. This is where most communication needs to take place today, I think. So I had figured out the names, and then I needed some real rock star help. And I have one. I have like a secret weapon for everything, and that is Christina, who is the most brilliant designer ever, and I have worked with her for 12, 13 years or something. So when we had names, we started sketching, like how can these things look? And when we had done that for a while, we said, let's just actually go live with something. So we made this, and we walked up to the UN with it and said, I guess it's not done. The names aren't quite there, and some icons are really, really hard. How do you like the icon for number 1, no poverty? It's brilliant to try to do an icon for something that is not supposed to exist. And we learned things like we know hunger. We thought it was a brilliant way to look at it, that forks aren't widely used outside of Europe. It was a long learning experience with this thing where we changed icons all the time. And at some point, we realized that having colors, we needed to have individual colors. And making 17 colors that actually are individual and looks good as a unit, we worked for like between 2 and 3 months on that. And I'm actually mighty happy with that. Many people, it was like a home cooking to do that. And here we go, the final icons. We had that SDG thing. So we were thinking, we need a brand of some kind. So this is one thing that came up, that the 17 goals together should form something. So there we made a new name, a new icon. Everyone who's making logos know that you have to do them black and white first, and then you can give them a little color. And then I had, as a person with my OCD, I did have a huge problem with this grid because something is amiss. And then just one day on the subway, I was like, oh my God. This had been a struggle for me for months. I was like, I just put the logotype there. So that's where we ended up. This is where we started. And meanwhile, this is also where we started. This was the excitement level at the UN. And we were really aiming at this. So I'm going to take you down a little bit of a rabbit hole so you understand why this is really important. These goals are immensely cool because they're actually covering everything that's wrong with the world. Like literally everything. But not the 17 goals. Because the 17 goals, they just explain what we must care about, but they don't tell us what to do. They're categories. And then they snuck in 169 targets. And that's great. So we just said, okay, we did 17 understandable, let's make 169 understandable. And someone says, should we make icons for 169 targets? And I was going, hell yeah, that was so much fun. But this was the source material. And again, incredibly dense. I sometimes read this because it's almost poetry in its like Dadaism, abstractism. But this is a kind of material that we had. Enhanced north, south, 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 and triangular regional and international cooperation on an axis of science. And what we did was that we figured out what was important, and then we created real targets. So there are now the 169 targets are all, if you want to say, translated, simplified, illustrated. And do they care? Do they matter? I mean, eradicate extreme poverty, pretty good. Social protection systems, this is just a few. I'm going to run really quickly. Sustainable food production and resilient agricultural practices. We've been talking about this. We were talking about genetic diversity. We were talking about the African seeds. This is something that has failed. early warning systems for global health risks. You see, everything is here. If you think that you can't cover everything in 169 goals, think again. And of course, fight communicable diseases, which the coronavirus is one of, but we also heard horror stories of mosquitoes yesterday. Discriminate all and eliminate all discrimination in education. And let's see, higher education scholarships. I think we had one on the stage just the other day. We've heard talks about horrific violence and exploitation of women. We've been talking about unpaid care. Women are staying home, not getting compensated. We've also talked about that women need to have equal rights to economic resources, property ownership, and financial services. And that makes all the sense, because they're going to do something good with the money, which the guys won't. Cape Town, increased water use efficiency. Universal access to modern energy. I think the new answer to this is trees, is electric trees. We were talking about youth employment, education and training, and then we have Ravi's big tourism project. It's not only one target for that, but two. One to make sure that tourism benefits the locals, and one to make sure that you measure it so it doesn't have too much of an adverse impact on the climate. Trade support, income inequalities, equal opportunities and discriminations for absolutely everybody. Migration policies, affordable housing. We talked about that. We talked about the Africa's cultural heritage, waste generation, marine pollution up again. So you see, this is just a lexicon of all of the topics we've been talking about. Oh, I like this. Sustainable fishing. Just don't fish Tuesdays. That was my takeaway from yesterday. Deforestation, biodiversity, poaching, trafficking, and then you have goal 16, which is just the rock and roll goal, because it has everything that's sort of fundamental. It's talking about violence. It has this protect children from abuse, exploitation, trafficking, and violence. And this, I love this one so much. This almost makes me cry like Robert on the stage yesterday. The rule of law, organized crime, corruption, and then, of course, public access to information, the thing that the Brexit people, the Trump people, the Bolsonaro people, they're trying to get us that way. Oh, sustainable technologies to developing countries. I think those microscopes, paper microscopes, go straight in there. Finally, when you go to the very, very last target, then you have further developed measurements of progress. So far in the world, we're measuring everything in money. And that hasn't gone that well, has it? So we got to find new ways to think of it. So I think that hope needs a guide. So we have made a language for action, and we call it the periodic table of change. And there's a poster also. We have these little target finders. They're, since we're designers, like colors, we've put all of the 169 into this. There are digital resources. I was going to say they're sold everywhere, in stores everywhere, but we haven't gotten someone to actually do this for us yet, but that's coming up next. So finally, what do we need to make the goals happen? And that's maybe the most exciting project that we're just starting. We haven't even named it, but the Human Development Goals, or the inner goals, like what skills do we need to reach here? So we've been talking about openness, new perspectives, sense-making in a complex world, inner compass, really, really, really important. Compassion. We know that there are more. There might be 7, 8, or 10, but we're trying to really nail them down. We're working with academics, with brain surgeons, or what is it called, researchers and psychologists, and everyone we can find to find what is it that we need. And what I like with it is that if you get a checklist over these capacities, then you can look at the people in power and say, does he fill these criteria? Are they compassionate? Do they have an inner compass, except for money? Sense-making? Can they see a new perspective? So, I was trying to tell this joke at the office and it bombed. But it's about new perspective and I'm going to try again. So an old fish, it's not a new, many of you have probably heard it. An old fish is swimming down a river. And he's meeting two young, small little fishies. And he greets them and says, "Hi, how's the water?" And the little fishes swim by him. And after a while, one of the little fishes turned to the other little fish and says, "Hey, what's water?" So there you have the new perspective. To get a little bit new perspective of this, and more hope, I was thinking we would do something great. So I think that if we could go to a bigger room back here and get some light in the audience, and then we'll do a 3-minute energy boost courtesy of Aretha. How does that sound? And loud. And jump up and down. Woo!
I didn't say nothing. That was you saying.
Oh, yeah.
It was a man that let him suffer. He died for you and for me.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank him because he brought me.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank him because he taught me. I want to thank God because he kept me. I want to thank him because he never left me. I want to sing out my shout this evening. I want to thank Jesus for all you've done for me. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.